Yo, what is up, guys? You're rocking with Jay today, and this is going to be a far cry from what I usually do, which is just like effectively only gaming videos and just the occasional animation if I ever don't feel lazy enough, right? But as you know, um, Bandai Namco just released a story trailer for Shadow of the Erdtree, and I'm gonna put my 2 cents in on it because I have a theory that's kind of wicked, right? Kind of wicked. Now, I'm not the biggest lore buff, right? So take what I say with a very, very small grain of salt, but I think it works damn near perfectly, at least narratively, right? It works perfectly. I'm doing this completely unscripted. The first of my theories hinders heavily on Miquella's relationship with Messmer and Messmer's relationship with America. So, in the first trailer of Shadow of the Erdtree, the first thing that we hear Messmer speak is him asking his mother, that being America, whether or not he finds someone to be lordship sanctioned, even if they are bereft of light. That's pretty much exactly what he says.
Mother, wouldst thou truly lordship sanction in one so bereft of light?
Right? Now, for the longest time, everyone believed, okay, that person is probably the Tarnished, right? Because obviously we're going to the Shadow Realm, and we're probably going to fight Messmer, and that's probably going to be his approach to us. I confidently believe otherwise. I think that question was directed specifically to Miquella and not the Tarnished. In the second Erdtree trailer, Messmer, no, not Messmer, but it was explained that Miquella had abandoned everything, abandoned his glowing skin or golden skin, something like that, his fate, and his blinding light.
His golden flesh, his blinding strength, even his fate.
All of which has something to do with his glow. And even in the trailer, at the end of the first trailer, we see that Miquella has this radiant glow around him, right? It could be something like he's there to bring light back into the Shadow Realm, or he just got his light back and is going to bring light to the Shadow Realm using his powers. But even then, he abandoned the light that was purposefully given to him. Messmer asking, is this person worth being a lord if they're so bereft of light, is a question that is directed towards Miquella. Now, the next part of my theory is a bit odd, but I would like to believe that Messmer is envious of Miquella. And this also hinders quite a lot on what Empyreans are. From what we know so far in the game and through lore is that the Empyreans have been almost exclusively only female, right? We have Marika, the Glowmite Queen, Melania, Ronnie, and that's it. But oddly enough, Miquella is male. He's the only male Empyrean that we know of. Except he does share a feminine alter ego, that being Saint Trina. But he also, as a child, or as like cursed with the ailment of being forever young, does have the semi-appearance of a woman. We can see even in the trailer at the end, he looks extremely feminine. Even in the way that he does his hair and the way that he sits on Torrent in the concept art, we can see that he sits as the way as a woman would sit. So Empyreans have been exclusively female. And I think that Messmer is almost jealous of that in a sense, because if there's anyone who should know that Empyreans are only female, it's Messmer, being Marika's firstborn and being the one who presumably killed everyone in the Glomide Queen's army. That being the case, Miquella being effectively the only exception to the female rule, Messmer would probably feel some way about it, that being he's the firstborn of Marika, who is supposed to be the god of the world. She's supposed to be the god. Messmer shouldn't be exempt from godhood. If Miquella can be a god, or in the running to be the next god, why can't Messmer? I believe that's his train of thought. The next part of this theory is a little bit weaker on evidence, but I got it from Ziostorm's stream where he did watch it, the trailer, and he had this idea that basically Messmer was born as an affair between Marika and another man. But prior to meeting Godfrey and prior to meeting Radagon, she had an affair with another man, which resulted in the birth of Messmer. Now, we could assume that this other man is that one old guy that we see in the first trailer, and he looks distraught in his picture, standing next to a pregnant woman. Now, I could make an excuse for him being distraught, being that it seems like Marika had this whole tyrannical idea to effectively purge everyone in the Shadow Realm. So she had Messmer as an affair, and that would be her firstborn son. So Messmer was not born alongside Radagon and Miquella. How he has the red hair, though, is still a bit confusing to me. We could say that Marika and Radagon were still fused together, which would only mean that Radagon's genes, as long as they are fused together, both their genes are recessive in a sense, so that Marika, even if it's not like Radagon who is technically producing the child could still potentially have Radagon's genes for red hair. Or we could say that Radagon has dominant genes for red hair. But Messmer was born an affair and granted the spot as Marika's general to basically wage war on the entirety of the Shadow Realm, purging it of all of her enemies. That being the Glomide Queen, and perhaps any other Empyrean that could have been alive at the time, or any other god that the Glomide Queen didn't stitch together in order to make and wove her clothing. Once again, being the firstborn of Marika and being born completely aside from Miquella and Melania, Messmer, technically speaking, shouldn't have an ailment. Technically speaking, because I think the only reason that Miquella and Melania were both born with their ailments, respectively, is because Marika and Radagon were the same person. But if Marika had a child with another man, like what she did with Godfrey, it could only be that they wouldn't be born with afflictions. I mean, of course, there's Morgott and Moog, but Godwyn wasn't born with an affliction. At least not that we know of. So, Messmer being born first out of practically everybody, and him being named her general and doing all manner of terrible things for his mother out of pure loyalty, it would only be assumed that he would obviously take the throne sometime, right? Even if it's just after America departs for the lands between and leaves Messmer in the realm of shadow, he believes that he would be the absolute leader of the Shadow Realm because he's the son of America. And if America's not going to be there, well, someone has to run over it, that being Messmer. And him seeing that Miquella, this random, for all he could know, 9-year-old kid is just running in here and trying to change everything, trying to change people's fates and trying to change his own fate, he finds that to be traitorous towards America's Golden Order, which he would then respond, is this kid really supposed to be Lord, even if he is robbed of his own light? Now, the last little theory is completely separate from any of this Messmer stuff, but is it far-fetched to assume that the Realm of Shadow is where America came from? We do see in the trailer that America was walking among a bunch of corpses with some type of golden thread in her hand, which she used to, I would assume, to erect the veil over the Shadow Realm. But her race is known as the Newmans, which are supposedly beings that came from an entirely different realm, separate from the lands between. Would it be far-fetched to assume that the Shadow Realm is where the Newmans came from, and America is one of the Newmans, and all those corpses and all those people that she did kill using Messmer was all of her people, so that no one else can object her rule? It's interesting. It's very loose, though, so I'm not putting too much faith in that one. However, the entirety of my Messmer theory, I need some thoughts on it. I'm not a huge lore buff. I forget a lot of things in the lore. I could be wrong. I could be very right. I'm still not sure, but I'm very confident in my theory on that.